Yo, what is up? This is the Mad R Major, one of the most popular mouse out right now. And I think it comes around the $50 mark and delivers 8K performance with this little puck right out of the box with the newest 3950 sensor and 39 grams with dot skates. So here's the operating conditions I am in. 10 hours plus a day of usage. My hand size 21 by 12. The temperature is in the 90s or 32 degrees Celsius up in here. The humidity 60% where I am inside the room, and outdoors it's 80+%. I've got a sweaty fingertip and clammy hand, but I've got a soft, relaxed grip. So let's talk a little bit about the battery life, the specs, and some cleanliness check. Now, a lot of you don't know this, but for the last 6 months, this has been my main daily driver. This is the VXE R1 SE Plus, and this is just a $20 mouse that I use as my daily driver. I love this mouse. It's for me, it's even better than the R1 Pro or the R1 Pro Max. Just for some particular reason, the clicks feel nice, the shape feels nice, the grip feels nice, and the Mad R Major is exactly the same, and it's going to be a replacement. So let's talk a little bit about the Mad R. This has a 200 milliamp battery, and on 2K it lasted 27 hours over 2 days. I'm not very pleased with that. I was hoping to get something closer to the 40-hour mark like the Skyrox, which the Skyrox has a 250 milliamp battery. So I don't understand why just a slightly smaller battery gets you so much less, 13 hours less of 2K performance. So 27 hours over 2 days versus 40 hours over 3 days on the Skyrox. So the battery life isn't that great, but for me it's quite acceptable, especially if the weight is going to be an important factor for you. For context, the Skyrox, like I mentioned, is good for 40 hours over 3 days. So it is what it is. You have to accept that you can't have everything exactly how you would dream it to be. As for the shape and size, it is a slight modification of the R1 shape. The M1 and M2 is slightly rounded at the corners here versus the R1, which is more pointy. And also the back of the triggers, you can see there's an angle going that way, while the R1 is just cut straight across. So it's just a sharper angle as the sides meet the top. As it goes over to the top, you can see that this has a really sharp angle here, while the R1 is more rounded on the edges. So just a slight change on the shape, but in the hand they feel indistinguishable from each other. If you have the Sora V2, for example, this will be a smidgen bigger mouse than the Sora V2. Compared to the Skyrox, it looks almost the same, but actually you are getting a much wider grip than the Skyrox. It is almost 4 millimeters wider than the Skyrox. However, you're going to get a real hump that is less aggressive than the Skyrox. You can see the Skyrox has a real concentrated hump, a bulbous concentrated hump, while the Mad R is less aggressive over here. The trigger height on both mice is actually very similar. So if you want like a slimmer OP1WE type of grip, then the Skyrox is for you because of that slimmer grip. But if you want a wider grip like a G Pro Superlight or a Maya X or an R1 Pro, then the Mad R is going to be in your wheelhouse. Now, as for build quality, the build quality is actually quite phenomenal on my copy. If you're curious about the quality or integrity of the mouse, it's literally the same build as the Sora V2 or the Prime PM1 or the Skyrox V8 or the ATKs or the VGNs or the VXEs. I would not be surprised if they all originate from the same factory floor. The shell integrity, like I mentioned, is solid all round, and even though you get the feeling that the mouse has a slightly thin shell, it never feels like it is going to flex or shift from its position on the its joints on where it joins onto the base of the mouse. I think being under 40 grams, this is about as solid as it can be, without a bunch of holes all over the shell. So kudos to them, they did a great job in terms of build quality. Now I know some people have issues with popping and creaking with their copies, but I think the failure rate is going to be the same as any other AAA mouse out there. I think it is just we hear it more often because it is kind of like, every time you have a problem, it's more amplified because you take it to Twitter, you take it to Reddit and complain about it. But I think the failure rate, in my opinion, I think it's the same as any other mouse. You get the same complaints with Logitech or Razers as well. I think the failure rate is going to be about the same, in my opinion. Now, as for the coating, in my last 5 mouse reviews, I think I have reiterated this fact a couple of times already. I feel like in the last 3 months, all the newer mice coming out of China seem to have figured out the secret sauce to rubberized coatings. And I remember a time when the Endgame gear was the industry standard and every rubberized coating was compared to the Endgame gear mouse, including me. I did that too. Today I feel like the Viper V3 Pro is the mouse with the superior coating, and I feel like the Mad R coating is almost indistinguishable from the Viper V3 Pro standard. That's my opinion anyway. But to be fair, the ATKs, the Skyrox, the Maya X, the OGM V2s also have this same very good coating. Next up, I want to talk about the buttons. It's the end of 2024. It feels like we're being flooded with these Omron switches everywhere. There should be no doubt or argument on which switches are the superior switches. Everybody's on Omron switches. Even Maya has got into the game with Omron switches. There is just no argument right now that Omron switches are the superior switches right now. I think so anyway. It wasn't even 3 months ago when everyone's favorite switch was the Huano transparent blue shell pink dots, but I can confidently say that the blue shell pink dots today are probably closer to being the 4th or 5th best feeling and sounding switches in October 2024. Now, in my opinion, the purples and the yellow transparent switches are nicer than the blue shell pink dots, and these Omrons are just like on a different level. The side buttons, however, is a different story. They work great, they are tactile and responsive, but they just sound a little bit hollow. I think this is most likely has got to do with the thin sidewalls, and I'm not even sure if they can improve it, but it's a minor, you have to give and take a little bit, I suppose. I don't mind, putting up with some terrible side switches for an overall great mouse. Anyway, let's do a sound test. So that's the difference between the VXE R1 SE Plus and the Mad R Major. Now let's talk about the stock PTFE feed. Now in my unboxed video, I showed you in detail about the stock PTFE feed that ships out with the Mad R but comes uninstalled. It is cardboard backed, and they have the exact same ones you find on the ATKs, on the Sprime, on the VXE R1s, on the Sora V2s. They're all the same skates, probably from the same company, same manufacturer, same cardboard back PTFE skates. They're fine, they're serviceable, they're usable, but they do break down and slow down about 50% after 24 hours of usage. After a couple of weeks, they no longer retain that out of the box smoothness. So personally, I would suggest replacing them with aftermarket skates after a couple of weeks maximum. I'm using the Ultem skates by N-Tech. I'll leave a link for you if you're interested. They're smooth on cloth pads, but they're pretty loud on glass pads. If you game on glass, I might suggest Ghost Glides or Skypad Obsidian Airs, but I've never tried them, so I can't really say for sure if they're legit. I did try the Obsidian Reds on glass and they were very quiet, so I think any of the Obsidian line is going to work fine. Now I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but I did want to highlight how so many companies completely neglect the importance of quality skates and how great the mouse feed affects the user experience and quality perception of the mouse. It feels like you're buying a GTR and it came with like Kamho tires or something like that. It'll work, but you know you're going to take it straight to the tire shop and have them changed out, right? As for performance and value, I got one personal best on Kovacs in 54 attempts. So I didn't do fantastic, but I'm currently testing 10 different mice and 9 different pads. So trying to get any kind of consistency is very difficult. So in short, I'm actually very happy with this result, all things considered. Now as for value, for $50, $60, this and the Skyrocks, they are neck and neck in the title for best value high performance mouse. You want an XM2WE or a bigger Sora or a better performance X2 V2 or a VXE R1 Pro upgrade, the Mad R is the mouse for you. If you want something like an OP1WE, OP1 8K, smaller grip, low profile finger triggers, aggressive rear hump, then maybe the Skyrocks is more for you. But although these two, they look the same, they are completely different in the hand. They both have their attributes, and I think a segment of people are going to go for the Mad R kind of safe medium mouse shape, I would say, and some people would like to prefer something like the OP1 kind of shape, small, slim, aggressive, and another segment is going to definitely go for this shape of mouse. So if you are deciding what kind of shape you want, these are the 3 lightest mice out there. I think all 3 of them are below 40 grams. I'll weigh them for you to show you, starting with the Mad R, of course, because this is the Mad R. This is the Mad R video. Why is the scale not working? Let's start it up again. And here we go. This is the Mad R 38.8 with 4-dot skates. The ATK Ultimate is 38.8 with 4-dot skates, and the Skyrocks with stock feet is 40 grams. So 3 very competitive mice. I know this video is about the Mad R, but I wanted to share with you the 2 other mice that are in this kind of like the same category. Although the F1 Ultimate is kind of like a much higher price, right? I think it's $90. Skyrox is $60, and I think the Mad R is around $50-$60 as well. So anyway, hope you found some useful information in this video, and thanks for watching. I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.